Welcome to the third video in Module 3 of ABEJAS. Honeybees get sick for several reasons: viruses, bacteria, parasites, poor nutrition, environmental stress, and poor hive management. These factors weaken their immune systems, making them more susceptible to diseases. This video will introduce you to honeybee brood diseases and the signs you may see. Typically, brood diseases involve bacterial or fungal pathogens that directly affect larval and pupal development, leading to visible signs of diseases in the brood. Before looking for sick brood, it is important to first learn what healthy brood looks like. Healthy larvae are pearly white, C-shaped, and lay flat on the bottom of their cells. Healthy pupae are fully covered by a wax capping that is slightly domed and dry. Ages of brood are typically grouped together. You should see mostly solid patches of capped brood with few empty spaces. To identify sick brood, look for the absence of healthy brood, then look closer to see if you can determine the cause of the issue. A poor brood pattern where there are lots of empty spaces may indicate a brood disease. Chalk brood is a fungal pathogen that causes bees to turn into chalky-looking mummies. You may find these mummies on the bottom board, the front entrance of the hives, or even on the ground in front of the colony. Bees infected with this pathogen are inundated with the hyphae of the fungus. When the fungus is still growing, the pupae look like a white pellet. When the fungus sporulates, the mummy is mostly black. This pathogen is more likely to occur in damp areas. Though primarily a brood disease, the colony can be weakened, show signs of poor hygiene, or have reduced foraging efficiency. There are no chemical treatments for chalk brood. General recommendations are to keep colonies in locations with good water drainage and/or increase hive ventilation. This pathogen is easily distinguished from the viral and bacterial pathogens that infect the brood that we will be discussing next. Sac brood virus causes disease in developing brood. It spreads when adult bees ingest contaminated food or remove infected larvae from the hive. Infected adult bees do not show any obvious signs, but the food-producing hypopharyngeal glands of young bees can become infected, and they can pass along the virus to the brood they feed. This virus causes colonies to be weakened or can lead to colony death if the infection is severe. Signs of sac brood virus include dead late-stage larvae after the cell has been capped. An infected larva dies with its pointy head sticking up. If you pull out the dead larva with forceps, it is a droopy sac. Signs are most apparent in recently capped brood cells after the larva stretches out on its back. Recently dead larvae are off-white or yellow and will darken to a black color over time. Larvae that have been dead for a while will dry out and adhere loosely to the cell, creating a scale that can be easily removed. There are no chemical treatments for colonies with sac brood. General recommendations are to requeen and/or remove infected brood comb to reduce viral levels in the colony. Foul brood is a bacterial disease caused by two different species of bacteria, American foul brood, AFB, and European foul brood, EFB. There are a couple ways to distinguish between the two forms of the disease. EFB-infected larvae normally die before the bees cap the cell, and AFB-infected brood die after capping. The ropiness test is the classic field test for determining whether the disease is AFB or EFB. Just poke a toothpick into the cell with the dead larva or pupa, stir, and pull it out of the cell. If it forms a stringy, ropey, or snotty connection between the comb and the tip of your toothpick, then it is almost certainly AFB. However, when a secondary bacterium commonly associated with EFB is present, it may cause some extra ropiness. So this test can sometimes be unreliable to clearly diagnose between AFB and EFB. Foul brood can be transmitted with a hive tool, so be mindful of ways to avoid spreading AFB among colonies. Sterilize your hive tool using fire and work sick colonies last. In AFB-infested hives, you may see cells with holes in their wax cap. A pupa dies after capping. Worker bees can sometimes detect that something is wrong and then chew open the wax capping to investigate. European foul brood is caused by a bacteria called Melissococcus plutonius, but 6 or more bacterial species commonly present as secondary invaders. Larvae tend to become infected younger than those infected with AFB. EFB is transmitted from nurse bees to young larvae during feeding. Classic signs are twisted or melted-looking yellow to brown larvae. Secondary bacterial infections can create a foul smell. Often, it requires a high level of infection for frames to have a noticeable smell. Once found, manage a colony with American foul brood immediately. American foul brood is a spore-forming bacteria and is highly contagious. An extreme and best way to deal with American foul brood is to burn the equipment. If you can't burn the infected equipment, use thick trash bags. Double bag the infected comb, then throw it away. Scorch any woodware, lids, the box itself, etc. with a weed burner or propane torch. If it is early enough in the spring or summer, you can save the bees by shaking them onto new foundation and feeding medicated sugar syrup. Also, treat the rest of the colonies in the apiary with antibiotics. Do not just administer antibiotics to the colony infected with American foul brood without getting rid of the equipment. The American foul brood spores stay viable in comb for decades and will be a reoccurring problem. Although European foul brood is not spore-forming, the bacteria can stay in the equipment. One challenge of European foul brood is that the other colonies in the location can carry the disease without signs. So cleaning up one colony and its hive equipment does not mean that the disease won't pop back up. Manage European foul brood at an apiary level. Antibiotics are effective and can treat colonies with the disease. Managing all these diseases requires understanding their specific signs, life cycles, and how to apply targeted treatments or interventions to maintain colony health. Now that we've covered brood diseases, we will conclude this module with adult diseases in the next video. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment below to let us know what additional topics you would like us to cover in future videos.